But it's not easy filling in a grant because not only does it take time, you're not sure of the outcome. And to me as a teacher, that was time-consuming, frustrating, not knowing until right at the very end whether we're going to be successful or not. And then don't even go into planning applications because that's just another field altogether. But if you're interested in putting solar panels in, try and get an expert or buy in some help to do it. We had a switch it off campaign. People have how low can you go days. We had a how low can you go term. And we badgered constantly staff, pupils, ground staff, cleaners, everybody. We were constantly badgering them. And we looked at our data from KCC Laser Energy compared to previous months, and we were saving an average of about £400 to £500 a month on our electricity bill, on our bar charts. So it's not just a case of how low can you go a day. If you just keep on making yourself unpopular and saying, switch it off, turn this off, we've got our kids to go around as well, you can make a substantial saving, a lot of money, particularly over the winter months when the lights tend to be on more than they should be. You saw this one this morning, or people have been talking about the energy display meter. I know the British Gas person that spoke to me, he said there's been a 10% uptake on that. So there's money out there. If you apply, you're going to get this. They've reduced their online application form from 12 pages to 2. So if you haven't already done this, get into there and fill in your 2 pages and get one in. Developing links with industry. We are lucky enough to have links with various enterprises, and they're always sustainable ones. We're always trying to fix local businesses for career aspirations for our kids, but also they've got this sort of industry knowledge that can take it further than a mere teacher can. And here's some of our boys just last month, actually, at Vattenfall, which is the one offshore planet, it's the biggest in the world currently, watching these things going in. They should be commissioned by the end of this month, actually. Now, it wasn't just a jolly. This is the cable laying process, and there's a little stem, that yellow thing sticks up to where the cables come out. These boys are going to go back and talk about reverse engineering. Their task over the next year is to find out how do those wind turbines come to be there in that particular part of the channel. Who made those wind turbines? Who made the actual blades? Where did they come from? Who designed it? Where did the planning permission come from? They're going to go right the way back to the square one. This is called reverse engineering. And then they go around and pass it on to the other schools in our network and via assemblies and so on. So these are what we call STEM ambassadors. And the only thing they look at is sustainable technology. Another form of sustainable technology, for a few quid you can get yourself a bike, a rack, an inverter, and start playing about with different lamps and proving to the students how much energy it takes to actually light a bulb. So we took this around to some other schools in the area. They all had a go at the bike and tired themselves out endlessly trying to get a lamp to actually light in the first place. Another project we got our kids to do was basically scrap heap challenge. Can you make your own solar panel? The answer is yes, very easily. You take the back of a fridge and you put it in a frame and you whack some cold water in the top and you get hot water out the back. And the idea is to preheat the water so you'd use less energy. Yeah. Proximity light switches, dead simple, cheap, £30 to install, and they could be paying themselves back within a year if you don't have one already. These have been mentioned already. Another payback in under a year. Tip 3, plan for it. The key thing there is do things a little bit at a time. Don't try and bite off too much. Small, achievable things. Have a long-term target. It's taken us well over 5 years, maybe 6 years to get to where we are. So don't expect things to happen so quickly. 3 years is a good long-term plan. Community support. Here we're talking about the achievements of the students and the way they feel about it. They start to feel really good about getting that recognition, getting that success. And I think that's the most important thing that gets more people involved. You get students coming up to the eco team saying, can I be involved in the next activity, please? Well, next time Mr. Moody says something, I'll bring you in. So it's not seen as a geek thing anymore. It's seen as something that's positive and having a good result. So we get more and more boys. In fact, we have waiting lists of students for all the activities we do. And we currently have about 80 students on our sort of roster waiting for things to happen. Getting it out into the PR, there's quite often lots of interest in local press and local television for that sort of thing. I'll just say this one very quickly. Kent Highwell Partnership, we're lucky to have that in Kent because they provide tools and risk assessment for things like this. Aiming for success, I think success breeds success. Green flags are one, teaching awards are others. You have to be nominated for that, you don't apply. And this idea that students feel better when they are successful. And I think you've got a fantastic opportunity as a developing sustainable school to do that, to get involved in projects which make the kids feel good about themselves and the environment, and you get this cumulative effect. And the final tip is get it into the culture, get it into the school culture. Everything that seems to have an option where students can get involved and push sustainability, whether it's bike riding, digging gardens, whatever, take that opportunity and push it. It is easier said than done. So just to summarize, always use the power of the pupils. Put them in front of your leadership group, put them in front of your governors, make them listen to what they want. Make sure your action plan is realistic, has a target, and show the leadership group how the school might benefit, either financially or through the ethos of the school. And be patient. Anne has written a paper on the website, if you haven't read it already. She was asked that question, what's the one thing about sustainable schools that you can take away? And the guy who asked the question didn't like the answer, but you said, be patient. And I think you're absolutely right. You just can't expect these things to happen quickly, but they will happen. Think about a snowball effect. And you've seen this website before, but I really recommend this one. If you're really unsure about where the resources are, that's a one-stop shop. You just go to that website. Everything you need is on that one. Thank you very much.